So back in 2017, I've just sold my VW T4 and I'm like, I need something new. I need a vehicle that sums me up and what I like doing. And what do I like doing? I like mountain biking, paddleboarding, getting out in the wilderness. What is the best vehicle to do that in? That is. Basically, back in 2017, I just sold my van, an old VW T4, and I was looking for something that I wanted to turn into an adventure vehicle. Went cross-eyed looking at stuff. In the end, it was going to be for an older VW Synchro. Some of you might know what those are, or a Defender. I figured the Defender would be the better investment. Very popular vehicles, highly nickable, so it's got a few security features on it. Went cross-eyed looking for this. Absolutely so many on the marketplace, but so many of them have been ragged, driven through mud, streams, high mileage. High mileage isn't bad as long as it's looked after, but eventually found this truck. Defender 110, built in 1999, TD5, arguably the best engine. We can argue about that. Originally it was built for an electrical distribution company, and for the majority of its life it was used as a working truck. Big toolbox in the back, and standard van, standard sides, windows weren't on it. So when I purchased it, I started making modifications. One of the things that made me pick this truck when I first got it was the fact that there was zero rust on it. Now, for a vehicle that's nearly 20 years old, it had been garage stored, it had been well looked after, it was at 109,000 miles, and even though it stated that it had 3 owners, 2 of those owners were the same company, but they just switched names, and the 3rd owner was someone who'd actually worked for that company and just bought this vehicle and had it for 5 weeks. So essentially it had been owned by the same people its whole life. Garage stored and no rust. That's what you need to look for on these trucks. The first day I got this truck, I picked it up in Bristol. I drove through Salisbury and I took it straight to Salisbury Plains, and we decided to go off-roading in it. And we started doing more and more risky stuff, to the point where we drove it through basically a tank puddle and nearly stalled it in about 5 feet of water. Not quite that much, maybe 3 feet of water, but it was really scary, especially as this was my most expensive commodity at the time. So when I got back home, I got that snorkel fitted. That was pretty much the very first thing I ordered for this truck, and I still love it. So we've put a brand new music system in the truck as well. There was no space for a radio, so we ordered a unit from Mud, which is a high unit that sits up. You're kind of up here when you're kind of trying to change the radio station, but we use it mostly for Spotify, so that didn't really bother me. So it's got a completely re-leathered interior. The trim came from a company called Exmoor. It's completely black with orange stitching. We've got a cubby box in the middle that matches it as well. That was all put in brand new when we purchased the truck. It's also got a completely new carpet kit in there, and it's also completely sound insulated, which makes a huge difference to the usability on these things. If you know anyone, or if you've ever driven one of these yourself, you'll know these things are like one up from a tractor. It's just so damn loud inside. So that made a huge difference to the kind of the comfort and also the usability of the truck. Spent quite a lot of money with a company called Massai. So Massai produce all of the glass on this truck, the panoramic glass. They also produce the rock sliders that we have, as well as the steering guard on the front, and it's just those little orange accents on the black and white that I absolutely love. It's also got a full LED light kit upgrade. That's another job that I did myself. It's a smoked light kit, and then we also got the LED headlights as well. One of the reasons that I did that was that the lights on these things are just absolutely horrendous as standard. On full beam you cannot see anything. Once we'd ordered the lights, we also got online, jumped on Facebook Marketplace, and I am a massive James Bond fan, and anyone that knows the Spectre Land Rover will know the front end. It's very, very distinguishable. It's got the Defender nudge bar, which was only on the very latest trucks, and they cost an absolute fortune. I was lucky enough to find one second hand, as well as a Mantec winch bumper. The winch bumper had had some real bad knocks. It was rusty, it had been ripped off. So I picked up the two things, the nudge bar and the bumper, cheap, really cheap, like £1,000 worth of gear for 400 quid. And then proceeded to take that down to my welders, got it welded, got it fixed, took it to the powder coaters, and before you knew it, it was like brand new again. So I'm really, really happy with the front end of this truck. Because I use this for camping, it's also got a diesel night heater on it. Now, these things 5-6 years ago, you used to spend £700-800 before you'd even fitted it. Luckily, now prices have come down loads, and you can pick up Chinese counterparts for around about 150 quid. Honestly, they're not bad. Get on YouTube, have a look. But that night heater, I've slept in the back of this truck as recently as 2 months ago, up in the Scottish Highlands in -10, and just been in my shorts in the back of it. It really does make that much of a difference to how comfortable it is in these trucks. And then around about, it must have been about 3-4 months ago, the tyres on the truck were absolutely getting destroyed. I was down at a place called Defender Jam, got chatting to a guy called Ian. He had these amazing tyres on his truck, and I was like, what are they? They're huge. BFGs, all-terrains, and these are the biggest size tyres that you can fit on a standard setup on a Defender. They're 285 75 16, so they go on a 16 rim. One thing I didn't realise when I fitted those tyres is that on full lock they would rub. So what we did is we fitted spacers onto the wheels, 30mm, and that extra 30mm width meant that we got the full lock back. No problems since. I've tried to keep a lot of the back of this truck as user-friendly as possible. So at the moment we've just got 2 side bench seats in there for the rare occasion that anyone might jump in, but most of the time it's for him. He's in the back looking out the window and he loves it. I try and get away probably every 6 to 8 weeks. It's never very, very long, maybe 3 or 4 days, but the reset for being able to just get away and chill out in the back of your truck is just so important when you've got a stressful job, and that's what this truck is for me. It's my escapism. Another massive thing that we use this truck for is actually for a lot of photography and videography. So the truck is also actually fitted with a leisure battery, and the leisure battery is hooked up to a fuse board, and then we've got that hooked up to other things like extra USB chargers. We've got an inverter in there, and that means that when I go to bed every night I can plug in my laptop, I can edit photos, I can charge up batteries. And that's something I always tell people when they're trying to figure out what to throw into any sort of camper. Use it and then figure out what you want to put in there. Like for me, I wouldn't put a toilet in there, even though I've got one on my front doorstep at the moment, but that's another story. So that's my little adventure vehicle. Hope you haven't got too bored hearing about it, and I will catch you next time. Bye guys.